Okay, so game design 2, week 9, part 2. We're talking about sliders. So let's talk about. Gosh, I really want to get these to work before I go and like make them fancy colors. I know some of you have got some fancy colors, and that's awesome. But I want to make sure that these work first. So if you haven't done this already, add your player controller and add your stats. Sorry, make sure you've got your stats in there. So FPS controller with your player controller script. And then what do we need to do? It probably needs some place to walk. So I'm just going to build a plane for now. Where's his collider at? Oh, it's just closed. Okay, there it is. Okay. Music is a bit loud. So if we go back to our script and we have a look. Am I? Yeah. Thanks. If we go back to our controller, we have got this guy, which nobody can see that color. So this right here is this thing. So if these were public, don't make them public, but if they were, we could just say UI.hpBar equals, dot value equals something, right? Like 100 or equals health. And we could edit it that way. But I don't want to do it that way. I want to use getters and setters. So HP bar, MP bar, XP bar, those are all going to have their own functions. We're going to make them real tiny so that we don't have to like mess with them too much. But we're going to do public void set HP and then int given value. And what is it going to do? It's going to say HP bar dot value is equal to given value. Semicolon expected. So we'll just open this here and then put this here. Sorry to be fancy about it. Let's just do something like this. I'm going to copy and paste this for the other two. Set mana points, set XP, MP, XP. Okay, so I wrote some stuff in the player controller as well. Just kind of highlight this for you. So on void start, on that first frame, and that line 21, it says as long as UI does not equal nothing. So if we have successfully set UI equal to the canvas and the set component, if that works, then we're going to try to call these three things. We're going to send set HP, and we're going to give it health. So that'll be 100. We're going to set mana points. That's also 100. We're going to set the XP, and that's 0. And it should, because of this HP bar dot value, the MP bar dot value, this value right here is what the slider's value is. And we'll look at that next. But this should set that. And if you were to hit play right now, you should watch your HP and your mana points go to 100 or go to 1. And that's what you should see to say that it's working. Is it not working? Nope. Player controller, that's good. What about player controller? Okay, so I've got a bunch of stuff in player controller. On the left side, line 21 to 25. So if it works, these should go up to the top. Okay.
Do I need to highlight?
No. That red ball should go up. Oh, well, actually, no, I'm not sure. Let's go back to our code first.
Well, no, like, sorry, the FPS controller.
Oh, you think it's very easy.
Okay.
This is UI controller on keys. Okay.
So, yeah, that
UI controller on canvas.
Oh, okay. Good, I understand.
Okay, you got some object reference issues though? Maybe you can track those down. Touch it.
I don't know.
Looks like they went up.
So,
Were they already?
well,
Oh, yeah. Start those out as zero.
Here.
So that value there, just set that to zero.
Yeah.
Got some errors you said?
Yep.
Just hit clear.
Okay,
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, HP and or NP.
okay. Yeah, okay.
What's up?
Done.
It says the object reference isn't set. Is it because it says slider?
So this name right here, these three, will exactly match those.
Okay.
How about you, Logan?
Not quite.
So show me your canvas in the hierarchy. Okay, it's got UI controller. Show me the player controller, the FPS controller. Okay, it's got player controller. So the name of your sliders look good. Yeah, your scripts looks good. Except these are XP to mana bar and MP to XP. Just change this to MP and this one to XP.
But that doesn't
Okay. Let's run it and see what we get. So they look like fine. Cool.
It works.
Sweet. Oh, now I got that. Did you do that? Yeah.
Oh.
Don't maximize on play. You either, Logan. We gotta see other stuff.
Oh.
So you don't have any errors. Show me your FPS controller. Hold it down and play controller from your canvas.
I don't know
Yeah,
why.
okay, so that means the UI controller.
But I did
Oh,
something.
Is it working over here?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, so when I increase the value of it, it does that. So, I mean, I don't know how that works.
Oh, when you hit play it.
Yeah. See.
No, it doesn't. That's not working.
Yeah, that's not.
Your name on your sliders, like slider space HP bar right there, need to be exactly the same in your code when you do game
Okay.
object.find.
Got it. So,
Those match. Is that clear? So it's save. Probably did.
Changed some stuff.
Okay, that's fine. Do you have both of those switches on things? FPS controller gets player controller, canvas gets the UI controller.
I think.
Yes.
Yeah,
Glad you know.
So this says object reference not set to an instance of an object. It says it on line 20 maybe. So we're gonna look at UI controller, line 20 right here. HP bar equals the object on the line slider. HP bar. It's looking for specifically this name in the hierarchy. So if your slider for your help is not named exactly the same thing.
Oh, so it has to be all together. I put those things.
So you've got slider B and then slider 1, slider 2. So if you do exactly
Yeah.
match the names.
So it was capitalized.
here,
Capitalized.
this is gonna be HP bar or,
Probably. Give it a shot. I think you're on the right track.
okay.
What takes up the top? I don't know.
Hmm?
That's the one.
Oh yeah, it worked. That's so
What's up?
Huh?
So sorry, talking to her. Did you change all 3 names?
Uh-huh.
Okay. No, they need to exactly match this.
Oh, it's,
Exactly.
oh, I thought,
That's all right, no problem.
it's like, oh, okay, I'm just.
Line 31 it says. No, that can't be right. Player controller 22. Set health. Line 31 HP bar. So UI is something. Okay, fine. Okay. So, if debug now bool debug is equal to true, static Y'all probably don't have to do this. I'm running into an error that I can't figure out, so I'm debugging it. So if yours is working, well done. I don't understand how you got got your code from me and mine doesn't work.
Oh,
But here we are.
okay.
Okay. Um, what? Oh, okay. This is an interesting one. Are you guys ready for this one? So mine didn't work. I built mine exactly the same as you did, but it didn't work. So I started adding debug.log statements to walk through it. So you can see the first one I have here, starting player controller, right? And so that's going to be in player controller under void start. I just say debug.log starting player controller. Okay. The second one I get is canvas UI controller, and that's me just saying if debug is true, debug.log what UI is. So UI is assigned right here. It's gameObject.find canvas and then get component UI controller. No big deal. The next one is given value equals 100, which is actually here. So that's under the UI controller, and it's part of the public void set HP. So it sounds like what's happening is that we're calling debug.log setting player controller, and then what the UI is, and then if UI isn't equal to nothing, call set HP health. And then it's calling this here, and then it's outputting this error, this normal thing, equals given value equals 100, and then this one right here, which is just saying HP bar dot value equals HP bar value. Okay, that's where I get my null reference exception. The weird part is that on the very next line, it outputs this one, which is slider HP bar. So it knows what that is, and that code is up here in void start for my UI controller. Can anybody figure out what's going on?
It sounds like it's not detecting the actual HP bar.
But it does, because the last console that I had said this line right here, and it said it just fine. The weird part is because it was the last one.
So the int isn't being connected to the HP bar.
No, because over here, when we call set HP and we send it health, and health is 100, it came over and said that's given health, so that's 100. And then debug.log given value equals 100, and that happened just fine. Anybody else? It's pretty clever. I'm pretty proud of how this really messed itself up. Here's what's happening. This void start happens before this void start.
Oh, wow.
And because in this void start it calls set HP, it's calling set HP before HP bar has been assigned. So it calls this, and then it goes up here and assigns HP bar, MP bar, XP bar. And then it comes down here and it's like, yeah, I know what HP bar is fine. This is fine, no problem. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, that's a hard one to figure out. out. And the weirdest part is that it doesn't happen the same way for everybody. For everybody else, it worked fine, but something about how I built mine, it went in a different order.
Wait, so that means this doesn't update every frame then?
Well, they run on start, but they run in order, like in some random order of start. So all I need to do is, because I know UI controller needs to run first in order for this to work, I'm going to change this to void awake. And this will run before any other start does. So let's try that out and see if it works. Hopefully, when I hit play, it will just update my sliders. Ta-da! Cool. Okay, that was a fun extra debug there that I didn't need to do, but it happened.
The teacher had to do.
Yeah, right? Only the teacher had to do it. Okay. So let's talk about the slider for a minute. I want to talk about this right here. Let's go ahead and look at the one for HP bar. I want to look at the slider component. So should this be interactable? Are we going to be messing with it in our like with our mouse? The user's never going to touch this. It's just going to see it. So we can just turn interactable off. The target graphic, the handle, we might turn that off later. Normal color, highlighted color. We're not doing any of this interaction, so it doesn't really matter. So we're just going to skip down to this part. Direction. Left to right, right to left, bottom to top, top to bottom. We should probably reset that rotation and change it from bottom to top. So bottom being 0 and 1 being top. So I'm going to change this for my health, and that's probably going to change the way it looks.
Yep.
And then I'm going to set that rotation back to 0. The other thing I want to point out is the minimum value and the maximum value. So right now, if our health is 2, that slider is maxed out, which is silly. So we need to change this to 100. Or we could get even fancier and set it to whatever the max health is for each thing. We could also set it to be whole numbers. It doesn't really matter because out of 100, that's not going to make much difference. But if the max value was 10, and we had whole numbers, you might actually get to watch this chunk up in chunks like that. And that might be nice. Or it might not be nice. Maybe you want it to be smooth. Since it's using integers, since I'm updating it with integers, I might as well make it whole numbers. So I'm going to do the same changes to the mana bar, and then we'll look at the XP bar. Let's go to 2D mode. Let's double click on this HP bar. So there's a few more things that I want to adjust with this HP bar. So move the mana bar out of the way. Let's see. I don't want mine to have rounded edges, but that comes down to, I think, the background. So on the background source image, I'm just going to remove it. So now I've just got a white slider. And the fill area is going to matter because the fill area has a background as well, which I'm going to delete. Let's go ahead and change this slider to something like a value of around 50 so that I can see what's going on. The fill area is the one that I want to color as red. So that when I make the slider value go up and down, you can see it changes. One of the things you might notice with your slider is that 100 isn't actually full, and that can be real frustrating. You can notice the fill area doesn't actually go all the way up to the top. So one of the things I like to do is I just like to select this fill area and just move it up to the top. Maybe I'll select actually the fill here. Let's see what that does. So if I go to slider HP bar, and then I mess with the values now. Okay, well now it's not going to go all the way down to 0, so that's not exactly what I want. let's go back to that fill. Let's change that slider value to something in between. Actually, let's change it back up to 100. Let's see if we can get that fill area to go all the way to the top.
The thing I can't get it all the way to the top
Is what? All I heard is a saw.
the thing that I found to get it all the way to the top is with the anchors. But
Oh, okay. Pretty close, right? If it gets down to here, we'll be all right. So yeah, that's one of the things to think about. And then this handle, we're not even really using it, so I'm just going to turn it off. So the handle does not exist anymore. We just have a value that goes top to bottom. And I think it's kind of thin, so I'm actually just going to stretch it this way.
Oh.
And then because Dishonored is one of my favorite games, and Dishonored has a health bar and a mana bar, I'm going to kind of model it after that game. Let me show you an example of what that looks like. So Dishonored UI. Health bar. This one. This is the example I'm going for. So I love the way they do their graphics here. And I'm going to make mine kind of angled that same way that they have theirs. I could build a custom graphic to match, but for now I'm just going to be a bar. What's up?
I got it to work.
Yeah? All the way to 0 and to bottom? Oh, excellent. So you're going to get rotated maybe like this. And then I'm actually just going to duplicate this because I've made a lot of changes. And I'm going to move you down here. Interesting. Okay. And slider and background all the way dark. Okay. And my XP bar is probably going to be something like 500 or maybe 300 for the first set of XP. And it's definitely going to be taller as well. turn the handle slide area off. Just select it and then turn the checkbox off. Gentlemen? Oh, Frank, sorry.
Come on. No. Yes, sir. Exactly at the same time that restores both of them. Oh, Jesus.
Okay. But yeah.
That would actually hold it. It's heavy electrically.
Oh, you're good. Okay, close enough. Questions?
No,
What are you doing, Professor? Yeah, I'm waiting for everybody to catch up. I think everybody's in the right spot now. So, 2/3 of the way through the class. We have UI. We don't have a way to update our UI when that happens. So what I want to do at this point is I want to mess with our actual game object area. So I'm just going to take my plane and I'm going to make it quite large. And then over here, I'm going to build a capsule. And this is going to be an AI. We're going to tag it as an AI. Or actually, I think I'll probably just tag it as an enemy. And let's do our regular on trigger enter stuff, the stuff that we always do. Add a sphere collider, make it a trigger, give it a size of 1.1. And then let's add some stuff to player controller to test for if we hit the enemy, subtract health by 10. That's pretty easy, right? Okay, so this is all arbitrary. You could make up whatever you wanted for these numbers and for what you want to have happen. What I'm going to have happen is that every time I run into an enemy, I'm going to subtract health by 10, subtract mana by 33, and add 50 to my XP, and then destroy the enemy. My question for you... My assignment for you is I need you to get the health sliders to update. This will update the health, those variables inside the player controller, but I want you to update the sliders in the UI controller. This code for on trigger enter needs to go on the player controller.
Oh no.
If you wanted to be really good, I'd probably just build a script inside, a method that just says update UI, and then just call that as a It's all like kind of generic because we only get to work on this 3 hours at a time. There are so many times where I'm like, I want to make an awesome video game, but
No.
I only get to work on it for 3 hours a week. Anything else to add? Yes.
To add to this right here, like I think it says.
So the trigger, the sphere trigger, that goes on the player.
Oh.
So that's the one that the on trigger enter is going to be using. Again, does it work?
I don't have the entire page linked, so it just destroys his chest. Like, yeah.
Does it work for you, Zach?
Well, I haven't added the.
Yeah, you probably got a bunch of stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
The sphere collider doesn't go on the AI, it goes on the player.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm just going to build a new method, void update UI. And it's just going to do this right here. Let's see if it works. Yep. Let's take a 10-minute break and come back at 9:05. Yes, Maris? Oh, thank you. 10:05. Yes. And also, you just need to define your tag, right? Or are you using something else? It shouldn't be working if enemy's not defined. So here, immunity, go to One Piece guys. There's enemy, so what the hell are you talking about? You need to have clear and light. That makes me really happy because these are old errors.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. line 22?
Mhm.
See that closing curly brace?
Yep.
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 So that ends start. What does line 23 do?
Oh.
That ends your whole script.
Oh.
I think you've got an extra one on line 22. I think it's actually supposed to go down after line 44.
Okay, so
Remove
this one
that.
here.
Yeah.
Take that one out. And line 44.
Yeah, so hit enter and put a new one there. I think that's where it came from.
Okay. Yeah, it's in Canada.
Cool.
Okay, here we go. I'll see you
Hmm.
then.
So when I have plans on gameplay, how do I get the UI to enlarge with the image?
It is a SOB to get that to enlarge with the image. So what I have always done is I change this from a ratio to a set resolution. So hit plus sign, type in 1280 by 720, set it for that resolution, and just always run it in that resolution.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. I wonder if I can destroy this thing.
It's possible. It involves these things right here called anchors. And you can anchor it to the corner and have a scale, and it's a...
Okay. Also,
Yeah, what's up?
got it so it won't destroy these things when you ran it as well as
Awesome.
love if statements.
Dude, you're crushing it as a programmer. You're
No, I'm
crushing
only
it.
good with if statements. That's it.
That is so much. Anyway, what's up, Chiquita?
Yeah, it's not.
Cool. So let's look at our player, our FPS controller. Let's scroll down here. There's our street collider, it's a trigger, and its radius is really small.
You said to be back by 9:05, correct?
Yeah, 10:05.
Yeah, darn it. I was gonna see you tomorrow then.
Yeah. 121.
Oh. I'll see you. Doesn't matter.
Like the jacket, by the way.
Thank you. It was my grandfather's.
Seriously?
Yeah. When he worked at NASA, he was wearing this.
Holy crap.
Isn't that cool?
That is
My grandpa's pretty neat.
That is actually pretty cool.
Well, it's still,
Although kind of shocking to see yellow patches these days.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's still not more version.
What happened?
Oh.
Okay, what's your actual character? No, the capital. It's and attack with him.
Thank you. Zach, you think you're working?
No, not
Maybe.
yet.
I think you're working.
Yeah, let's make it work.
So show me your FPS controller. What's happening? It's just your player, it's not a trigger.
Okay.
It's one trigger and there has to be a trigger.
Gotcha.
You know, right? It's about-
Oh, yeah, yeah, and that works.
Now work that?
Okay, sweet. That's all it was.
Cool.
Click that thing.
Sweet. Oh, and I hate you for making me figure out those buttons on my own. It took me 2 straight days.
Which buttons?
For mobile game design.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, no, it took me forever to figure out I could add a second script on it that text when I release it too.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Anyway, come on, we'll look at it then. Good work.
What's up?
Yeah, shop doesn't update. So let's go to our scope. So right after this line where we destroy it, we need to call our update UI script. So that's all.
Oh.
And then we got it.
Done, there we go. Okay, wait.
Oh, that's correct, right.
kind of, asking around with the, health bar and this bar and
Oh, so it's not
and
updating?
no, it's not at the
Other than that, I have most of them.
exact same point
I
as
sometimes have like a dash thing.
So it's,
Um,
and so there's only 2 buttons, which.
I
Okay.
hate that. I'd rather just use the arrow key, so even if
because
it's
Yeah,
this
there's
is on
mine.
my kind of
Mine's
that
got
one
mine,
and
that's
this
it.
one.
Yeah, never played the old Xbox.
Yeah.
It's basically that.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait, so.
So, yeah, Valeria.
But, you
Bill
know, I spent 2 straight days trying to figure out how to get the buttons to reset back to 0 once I release them.
Yeah.
So
I
set.
kind of have to set.
I go to the that one.
Okay.
Pretty much the world's smallest.
Set the value to 100, so
It was literally only a question and 5 lines of answer. That was it.
okay.
If it
Yeah.
helps you, it helps.
So there's still
is.
is
It's
a
like,
reference.
that's a thing?
That's a thing, yeah.
You know, they're, I forget what they call it,
It's
triggers,
now
something
go
like
to
that.
the,
But when you place it on a button, you can detect when you
you
press
probably
down and also
saw
when you
the
release.
Oh, neat.
So, yeah, I
and
actually
then
got
you
it
can
on here,
use
but I'll make sure it's still working as
the
well.
Cool. Yeah, that happens to me sometimes when you download a level on a different computer and just.
Yeah, I don't want this midterm to screw up their next one project because
Yeah.
it published it, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bummer. Good luck on your games on one.
That one I'm still far behind.
Yeah. That's super weird. There's so many things on there.
Gosh, yes.
I need to add the function.
Okay, okay.
okay.
Here.
I use the reflection pro for the majority of my game is outdoors.
That's weird.
Okay, that's
Just
weird.
add them in, checks off the box.
Let's see if it works now without the.
Aurora Lighting already does that.
Outfield.
Yeah.
Also, did you get that for the home bundle?
Oh, I didn't know how you
So,
it looks really cool.
It's worth it.
Check your
If he can figure out how to get the volume extra for me to work, which he did, and I still can't figure out.
See if I can find the
so,
way.
oh yeah, so what it is you're changing the health by 10 and the mana by 33.
Oh, wait,
So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
duh.
updated properly, it's just.
Done,
that.
okay.
You got the.
Because I was like,
It's,
it's not at James one.
yeah, it's so easy
Okay.
to like get things like confused or just like, oh, this is supposed to be like that. Why is it like that? Oh, because I actually wanted it like that.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Nope, not relating.
Okay.
Okay, I'm showing you this right now because I don't know. So, click on this.
I don't know.
Nothing.
Alright.
Whole lot of nothing. It is the exact same thing as
Do
yours.
you have a, here, go to the directional button, maybe.
What's up?
And
I already changed it to a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just put it in. I was really pleased by how easily everything worked.
I hate you.
So I didn't have to troubleshoot it.
Yeah,
You know how
no.
much troubleshooting I have to do for this?
It's not that bad.
Oh
Whoa.
my gosh. Okay.
Whoa.
Okay. I was
Oh,
hoping
Troubleshooting is the name of the game.
Take
I was hoping you saw it.
You
You see
are
something
not.
different, but.
Too much
I
time.
just
to do it.
plopped it in and it worked right away for me.
Yeah.
Go to like,
For you.
There's
Unity works for you. For him, not so much. For me, it's somewhere in between.
my AI is the last one.
For
There's
mobile-
well no this for the midterm
Oh, yeah.
the animator would like skip the damage.
Let's get back to it.
Animation, just go to the death animation. It was annoying. Everything was scripted correctly.
Okay, so let's actually, I'm going to have a look at the assignment because I know there's so much more I get to teach about today. Today we built a script, fight enemies. Enemies had a chance to win, and if they did, we lost health and they ran away. If we won, we gained XP relative to the size of the enemy. With the last 30 minutes, we built functionality to level up and win more fights. Modify your code from class to pick up health and mana potions, and use them to add 25% of your health and mana when you press 1 for health and 2 for mana. Using a simple set of integer numbers like total HP potions, total MP, you can add 1 and subtract when you use it. Build your medieval level out with 3 levels of enemies, the level 1 zone, level 2 zone, etc. What?
Does it have to be medieval?
No, it doesn't. It does have to incorporate terrain. No, it doesn't. You can do whatever you want. But like giant vistas, this is the levels that we're trying to build. So however you want to build it, if it's a floating city in the sky, like that's fine too. But giant vistas, that's what we're working on.
Okay, so it just has to be huge then.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Okay, so let's restart the recording.